Take, for instance, this has happened, and Mr. President has generously come up with about 17 billion and distributed. Some states don't even know what to do with it. They don't even have the emergency management agencies, to handle that money. Now imagine that same money given to the appropriate persons after the NIMET prediction and warning, maybe say in January. Imagine we're preparing for this flooding, this disaster, we would have fared better. So what we have is that, yes, we have said it severally, that we can expect more of this. This is the new times. This is what climate change has wrought on us. But in actual fact, climate change just exacerbates the problems that were on ground. The farmers, particularly those who feed these countries, as the agriculturists will tell you, the small-scale farmers, those who plant on just about 2 hectares, they are the ones who feed this country, but they have so many problems. The IITA came up with improved varieties. I have farmers along Badagry or Joe Access. We approached the IITA, we got improved varieties for them. Now they are planting it, they are happy, but they are always afraid that they are going to be booted out of their space sometime soon. We have been to the Lagos State House of Assembly to help intervene in this. There are several issues confronting the small-scale farmers. Part of it is access to land. Part of it is access to agric insurance, particularly climate insurance. Part of it is access to credit. I have some farmers in Ekpe who approached one of these major banks. They're going to get just 10 million naira. They are fish farmers. They have so much hopes. When they came up with the document that the bank has signed with them, I had to advise them that step it down. They have already spent about 1.7 million naira to access this facility. Now, when I told them that don't go for this money, it's going to put you in bondage. Perhaps maybe because I'm not that financially literate, I had to now introduce them to those who are very literate in this area and also to lawyers. And the advice across board is that you are going into a bondage because you are going to be paying about 45%. And then there is a clause that says the bank can change the percentage without prior notice. And these people have given about 25 acres as collateral, a landed property on Lagos Island just to access 10 million. These are some of the challenges that farmers, small-scale farmers, around the Ojokoro area, you find a lot of poultry going on there. Now, these farmers accessed the facility and they got insurance and they stopped, they had birds. Something went wrong along the line and all the birds died. First day, second day, third day, of course they had to bury the birds. The insurance company came 2 weeks later and said, where are the birds? We need to see the birds. These are dead birds. Well, that dragged for a whole long time before we could resolve it. So there are several challenges facing the small-scale farm. So if the Honorable Minister, for instance, wants to assure Nigerians that we're not going to suffer so much from this, perhaps maybe yes, because there have been some harvests already. But what happens? Already it has hit home. The cost of staples have increased. The cost of beans, the cost of gari, the cost of so many things have increased. This is the festive period. The cost of rams has increased because most of the livestock people have gone with this disaster. So if he wants to assure us, we need to know what kind of program they're going to put in. And they can do it, like Dr. Asiedu have said. It's an opportunity that this disaster has sprung up on us. It's an opportunity to address other things.
They're going to set up a flood recovery food program to accelerate food production across the affected states. Maybe you can translate that into English for us. You are the Greek man.
Recovery.
Yes.
Okay, food program.
Flood recovery food program.
Okay. Basically, in the current situation, people need food now. They have to be fed. They need clean water and many other things that we normally have. But in coming out of the situation, as soon as you are able to plant, some of the critical things are to look at the staple crops the people depend on, but then find early maturing varieties, because time is of the essence.
You spoke about it.
Yes, so that you put in place crops that within, say, 2-3 months, you can have something to eat. And this could involve vegetables, maize. You have a range of
within
extra...
2-3 months.
Yeah.
So before 2 months have passed, what are you eating?
that is where you need food that is ready from other, because in the first 2 weeks, there is no crop that is going to, mature and give you food. And so it's part of a complex plan. And so planting and harvesting are not the ones that really help you in the first 2 weeks to 1 month. So you call on your reserves in those months, and you should have had some reserves. But if not, I tell you, in Nigeria in the past that are not affected, just imagine how much cassava is in the ground now that can be harvested and processed just immediately now. So that if as part of that plan, we say, okay, we need so many metric tons of gari that we will put there. How do we get that? Okay, where can we get the fresh fruits? How can we process? How do we move it there? It's all part of this complex plan. So you start from there. How to get the people food now? That one is not about planting. And then once they have something to sustain them, then you are going with the crops that would be early maturing, and then will give them some sustenance and kick in after the emergency food you gave them are going to be exhausted. Then you introduce also something that will be in the medium term. So if you have maize, extra early maturing maize, and then you put cassava sticks in there, cassava will come later. Sweet potato would, in a few months, also give you something if it is an area where they will eat that. Vegetables, a range of them. So this is all part, it should be part of a complex plan. But really, you will need some food that you will give them, yes, before the crops come in. Yeah.
So, Mr. Ilona, how do we begin to translate all of what Dr. Asiedu has said into something that the man on the street can understand as a clear strategy that is being implemented, and that means we will see result? Because one of the issues that will be seen on the street is, oh, there is flood in Kogi, flood in Bayelsa, flood in Delta, the areas where they have formed food basket for the nation. And that means the man who's going to sell beans, gari, cassava, and other products from those produce that's coming from those areas, they will hike their prices, and they will say, well, there's not going to be any coming for the immediate future. How do we translate all of those strategies and plans and projections into something that does not lead to panic?
Well, fine. Now, I'll quickly make one point. And it is the fact that annually we say we lose about 30% of our produce due to, poor processing potentials, poor storage and all that. So I think the first impact that this flood will have is increased demand for our producers. I see a scenario where cassava producers, yam producers will have more demand, and then there will be significant reduction in the volume of their produce that will not find access to market. Now, if we're able to, because again, I looked at the trends in gari price in Ibadan. We follow it always. I've not seen that increase per unit of gari sold in the market. The price has been about the same during the past 3 weeks. Now, where you find inflation coming up will be within the states where you have the flood, because there you have, a true reduction in food supply. So what shall we do to ensure that we're able to move food from the non-affected areas to the affected areas? If we do it very well, we surely will be able to stem the scourge of price hike. Now, if we have price hike, it again may not be due to farmers increasing their price. It may be due to transporters having difficulties accessing these areas, right? And so I see a lot more challenge in transportation than in price hike by farmers.
That had always been an issue anyway.
Yes.
Most of the farmers had problems getting their produce to the markets,
yes,
or to the buyers.
Very true.
So it is now more so. It's now acute.
Very, very true. Now, one area I didn't mention earlier on again is because you see, when you're looking at food security, it's not just in terms of quantity. All right, you can fill up the stomach so well. If your food is not very nutritious, you can still be classified as being malnourished. And this is why, again, I sincerely agree with the minister, because in the recent past, the emphasis has been on research to develop more nutritious foods. Today we have vitamin A cassava in the system. We've got vitamin A maize in the system. We are going for iron-rich beans. We are going for iron-rich pearl millet. We're going for zinc rice. All of these will ensure that a household will not require to eat 1 kilogram of food to have access to the desired nutrient that the body needs. So it's really integrated.